Business and social media, they have actually been melded into one. And the saying goes is, if you're not, what's the ROI of social media? Is basically what's the ROI of putting your pants on when you go to work these days. Although in the virtual world, it's kind of changed. But if you go into work without pants on, something's going to happen, and it's probably not going to be good. So let's talk about social media. The author of The Business of Social Media, Clients and Customers, and not just likes and followers. And let's get into the show. Hello, Angela.
Hello. How's it going, Bruce?
Good. It's been a while since I've actually seen you in person.
It has.
As with everything these days.
Right. Everything is virtual these days. So it's amazing how that works.
Which actually makes social media and getting connected with people even more important.
Definitely. Yeah, it's something that is key for just about every business these days, is making sure that you are there at all times and everyone is able to see you, so that way you're not forgotten.
Yep. There's a number of different platforms. There's email, and then there's the 75 different social media platforms, ranging everything from Facebook to Joe's social media platform.
Yeah, I mean, like for a while there was one like Evolve or it's something along those lines. Now, the big exclusive one is the one where you have to get invited into the rooms, and yeah,
I've been on that for 6 months. So.
Yeah. So
and then there's
that's the next one.
Then there's Buffer. There's Peach. Never heard of that. What else do I have here? Meerkat.
Meerkat's still around? No, Meerkat's got to be gone.
There's Byte. There's Foursquare. Some of these platforms have either evolved into something else or totally gone away. Which actually brings up a point, which I think we were talking about before the show, was I was going around, one of the in-person social networking events that we were on together, and I was going around using this my phone and broadcasting to the group, streaming live on a platform. It was called Periscope. So here's a clip. Oops. I think I need to add the audio to that.
That was a long time ago.
So let's see where it happened to our audio. I think the audio was just turned off. So while I'm setting that up, let's talk about how you guys started with social media. You and your sister used to do a fitness program together.
Yep.
And it really was popular.
Well, and I mean, back in the day, so Beachbody was what we started as. We were Beachbody coaches, and it's still around. I mean, they're still putting out brand new programs. P90X is something that's been around for a long time. Insanity, 21 Day Fix. And so it's something that I was a new mom, and it was something that was really important to me because I was getting out of traditional retail and moving into more of the virtual online so I could stay at home. And so my sister and I were working together, and as I started to learn more and more about the business, I was starting to figure out how much time really had to be invested in making your own content, posting about not only your life, but the business, and learning not only about the business that you were supposed to be learning, but then about all these social media platforms, which in the beginning was very overwhelming. I luckily, had a baby who slept a lot, which was amazing. And so that gave me the benefit to literally spend 3 to 6 months just diving into every single social media platform that at the time was, going. And then as we've continued to build that. And so that, that morphed into VentureWrite, which is my own digital media marketing company, where we really focus on helping small businesses, people that don't have the time or the desire to learn about all the different things that are happening on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. What happened to Periscope? I thought I was supposed to be here. Now TikTok out, Snapchat. They don't have the time to do that because they're worried about doing whatever it is, making their product, selling their service. And so the marketing aspect is something that, we found that we could really help out with small businesses and give them that edge up to really help kind of raise their voice above the noise. And on the flip side of that, creating raving fans that is going to help them to, really get through the turbulent times because they have a consistent customer base.
Right.
So it's amazing how that morphed.
Well, I think the same thing happened with me was I started getting in when I first built my website. Wasn't like 1998 or something like that, and my web host didn't do SEO because he was a web host and a web designer, and so I had to learn how to do my own SEO, and then that built into our videos, which we're using for even stronger SEO these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how all of that, and then, people learning that each one of your Instagram posts should have, these alt tags on them because that's going to help their SEO and that helps to push up their Google. And are you labeling your images correctly on Pinterest and on your website because that bridges together for your SEO? I mean, these are all intricacies that we know, but that's because that's what we do. A small business owner is not going to really have the time to worry about that.
Right. So here I've got the clip queued up. I'm just gonna play about a few seconds of this. So we're live on Periscope. This is Angela Denton.
Hello.
And so, what is your Twitter handle?
At Angela K. Denton.
Great. And is this your first Periscope?
It is my first Periscope. I have not played around a lot with Periscope at all.
We are in Libertyville, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And this group meets once a week on Thursdays. And the question we started with was, what is the importance of in real life networking in addition to online networking?
Oh, yeah. My business actually has blown up since I've done a lot more in live networking. I absolutely say that you need to get out there and meet as many people as you possibly can. I do a ton of social media business, but the FaceTime is what's really huge for people. Just getting to know you, seeing a smile, definitely being able to connect is huge.
Your hair is a little bit longer there.
A little bit longer, a little bit darker. That was right after my son.
And so that was, how long ago was that?
Like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I've got the date on here, 2015. Yep.
Yeah.
And what happened? And where's Periscope today?
Gone. Not even around. Gone the way of Meerkat and plenty of other little pop-ups, little things. It's amazing how quickly some can come and go. And then, obviously the staying power of the big three. I mean, not that long ago, I thought Twitter was going to be out the door. And then 4 years ago, it revives. And so you never really know what's going to happen with a lot of that, which is why, obviously I believe that social media is extremely important because you need to be where your people are, your customers, your clients. But I will always tout the benefits of a strong email list and a website because those aren't going away.
Yep. So again, I've pulled up, that actually points to this other thing that we were talking about earlier, which is how much time do we have to spend on social media if you're doing it yourself? And this says 6 hours a week, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's like, what, an hour a day?
Yeah, it's a little bit like an hour a day. So the challenge is for a lot of people is I would even say, so a minimum of 6 hours a week. And that's absolute minimum. That usually means like that's what you need just to maintain a social media presence. The pieces that really come into play when you're designing your own social media strategy and when you're actually putting it into play is part of it is going to be creating content. So one of the beauties of social media is you literally could have a photographer come in, spend an entire day shooting video and stills and whatnot for a solid 8 hours and create content for the month. And then during the week, you could then just schedule out. So you spend an hour, maybe two max, depending on your scheduling platforms and how you're doing it, scheduling out your content. And then the rest of the time, you really should be going out and interacting with people. You know, maybe sharing other posts, getting into groups, having conversations. And that's a piece that a lot of people forget. They're like, oh, yeah, I can post. Well, a lot of people can post. The question is, what's the quality of your post? And
Yep.
B, once you put that quality out there, who are you engaging with? Because if you're not engaging with anyone, then they're not going to come back to you. And that's why a lot of platforms have become almost slow growth platforms. You know, Facebook, you can go out and you can get a lot of likes very quickly. And I call likes vanity numbers. You know, it's just something that you can go, and there are always people touting to get you 8,000 followers for $20 or whatever it is. And your business is in Chicago and you have 8,000 people in India who have liked your page, which is not helpful. And I
Right.
literally had a client that was like, I think it was all Egypt. And I was like, but you don't sell in Egypt. You sell in the US. And you have, you know, platforms like Instagram right now, which it is all about engagement. Like it used to be, you could do a follow for follow, or even, you know, I think the golden rule on Twitter for a while was what, if you followed 30 people, you get 10 to follow you back, something along those lines. And on Instagram, you don't even have to follow people, but you need to go and you have to engage with them and build the relationships. And so the analytics, the algorithm has now changed to the degree that it is a slow crawl. So more time you spend engaging and creating really quality content. And what we say when we mean quality content, it is all about, you know, the videos, depending on what platform you're on, really pretty pictures on Pinterest, you know, if that's what it is, or infographics. What is it that your clients and customers want? Everybody wants to talk about their product or their service or what they do, but you need to think about what it is that your customers and clients actually want. You know, maybe they don't want to know about your product. They want to know about the benefits of your product. Or maybe they just want to know, you know, we have a hair client, for instance, and they have an amazing product, but people don't really care that much about the product. They want to know, what's the best way to style my hair for my wedding this May or June, you know, and what are some hair tips and how do I make sure my hair doesn't burn? And so it's really getting into the head of your client. And so while 6 hours is definitely that minimum, that's what you need to be on and survive. It should almost be at this point, 6 hours is what you need per platform versus, you know, you could get away with it, you know, a few years ago at, you know, for your entire social media. But it's really, you have to pick and choose now, like where are you going to spend your time and make sure that it's quality time.
Yep. And so that one clip we pulled up, and I've got some more, is based out of this book, which is your book called Business of Social Media, Clients and Customers, Not Just Likes and Followers. And you get that, and there you go. Get your name on a book. So this is great.
Yes, I do.
And actually, the back of the book right here, it actually says it's illusion. Social media marketing is all about the number of likes you receive, but likes quickly and soon insignificant to your growth. And I think even Facebook has a sign in their headquarters that says, likes don't pay the bills, sales do.
And that's exactly it. And I don't know how many times like I've had to tell people. And what's really challenging is when you deal with a lot of really big companies is, and I think some of it is still from marketing of a decade ago, before social media was a big deal, right? And as social media in the beginning, it was all about how many likes you had. It was all about how many followers you had. Well, because you can measure that. That's easy to measure. And on a corporate level, that makes sense. On a small business scale, well, that's great if I have, 2,000 followers plus on Instagram, even 10,000, because then I get the fancy swipe up, all of these things. But if I don't have any money coming in the bank, it doesn't matter how many followers I've got on Instagram. So it's all about, are you driving the correct niche to where you want them to go? Like, what is really your goal? So that way you can make sure you're on the right spot. And I know that's something we were talking about or eventually here, but because it's all about what your end game is.
Yep.
If you're sitting there and you're like, well, I want to sell 5,000 widgets and I only have sold 2, then something's not right. So you got to adjust.
And that kind of adds to this, which is knowing what your business goals are.
Yep. Yeah.
Because if you have to add your social media marketing into your marketing goals, whether that's traditional or digital.
Right. Right. And now we've gone through such a massive change with the 14.5 Apple update that now numbers that we had relied on to really measure your ROI have become obsolete. Not by a marketer's choice, but just by now the nature of how everything is. So it's interesting because the numbers that we were looking at before, we're almost going to have to go back to the point where in 2 and 3% return on your marketing investment is a really good number. Whereas before we were looking at a 10, 20% return on your investment. And so now it's a matter of like, well, it's not that we're still not getting those sales goals. We might be getting those sales goals. The numbers that were really telling us what our things are doing, the Google Analytics, the Facebook Analytics, Instagram, all of these numbers, they can't measure just because so many people are choosing to opt out of those measurements.
Yep.
And so that is where the challenge will now come into play. And that's what, we've been dealing with for the past 6 weeks.
And then we'll talk about video in a second, but in live streaming specifically. But the advantage of the live streaming is that interaction with your audience. Great topic. Likes don't pay the bills. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, they don't.
Because when you start doing social media for fun, as a hobby, and a lot of these kids are doing it as a hobby because they don't have to make a living at it. I want to be a YouTuber. And they still live with their parents because even if they're 25, 26 years old, playing games. But again, people are making money doing this. And
they're making a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Kellen just bought you.
Thank
And there you go. You just bought, and speaking of making money, you just sold another book. And it
Thank
is all about
you. Mm-hmm.
And I know Wes does a lot of lives as well, live streams. He produces or directs a few of his own shows.
Cool. Yeah, the exciting thing is that what we're looking at right now, what we were just talking about measuring your investment on marketing and why it's so important to put consistency and the time into social media is actually the subject of my next book. So that will hopefully be coming out the end of this year. So we'll be sometime this fall is my hope.
Excellent.
When we get
And
that done.
And again, speaking of ROI, from Eric Coleman.
Yes, that is absolutely the best line for sure.
And although I still have seen businesses still think they're doing social media, but aren't really making any money on social media, and they're still getting by with their traditional sales. The video clip we showed of in real life, in-person marketing and networking, that is where they're getting their business. They're doing one-on-one sales calls. So that still works, except that
Absolutely.
I have other clients who say that 80% of their business is coming from interactive social media. So imagine if you're a business doing your traditional marketing, if you engaged with social media, what will your numbers be?
Well, right. And oftentimes I tell people LinkedIn is actually the perfect place, especially for a salesman, right? Like they're sitting there and they're calling up people one-on-one every day, whatever it is. If you took, maybe just an hour out of that time, continue to do your sales calls. You want to continue to build that rapport. But imagine if you put that time and effort into creating a really good quality, either live stream or video. something that's really going to show you as an expert in your field or an expert on whatever it is that you're making those sales calls for, and you push that out there, that is all of a sudden you become a silent seller for what you have going on. So you put that out there. So while you're making your phone calls, that video is actually helping you to get in front of so many more people that you may not even have on your radar. So I mean, social media in all essence at the very beginning is you're cold calling the internet. And then the job through, targeted interaction, targeted ads, whatever it is that you create a warm audience that's more receptive to your message. So if you're constantly cold calling the internet with your videos and your content, then when you make those sales calls, it's a million times easier to have your pitch because, oh yeah, I saw your video the other day on LinkedIn. Yeah, we had that conversation. Then all of a sudden your sales calls become a lot shorter and you start closing on a lot more business because you're already doing some of the work.
Yep. And I think that identifies with what that guy Kawasaki says is a simple and to the point is always the best way to get your point across.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're creating videos, you don't want to create, especially if they're directed almost promotional videos. I always say it's better to create 10 short videos than one really long one.
Yeah, I mean, how long do you have to really capture somebody's attention? Like, I think I usually say something along the lines of 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, think of how fast your thumb just flips through an Instagram feed. Like, it better be something good to make you stop and double tap. And it must be something really good if you're actually going to read what's underneath it. And so, which makes it's really interesting because you have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, which have been the big three for so long. And now I'm really starting to shift a lot of my clients to Pinterest because there is something along the lines of 2 billion visual searches being done every month. I mean, Pinterest is a wonderful search engine. It's not a social media platform. You don't have to interact on it, which makes it everyone's favorite social media platform if you don't have a ton of time. But you do need to pin, and you got to pin a lot. And that's what we're finding out. But it's amazing the awareness you can get from that platform.
So Pinterest isn't just recipes.
Pinterest is not just recipes. It is amazing. And actually the male demographic is actually getting higher. We have a homebrew supply shop in Libertyville, and we opened to Pinterest a really long time ago. And now we're like, let's get back into that. Let's see where we can push that forward, because we really think that's going to be able to, just from the awareness side, people are searching and they want to know where to go, and they love visual searching. That's why video is so strong. That's why Instagram now is trying to, they basically took what TikTok is doing and created Reels. And so they're like, well, we can't do TikTok. TikTok's not going to let us buy them. We tried. And so we're just going to, again, do the same thing they did to Snapchat and just mimic what they're doing on our platform. So if you have the option to do Reels, do it. Just like video, short and sweet. That's what people are paying attention to right now.
Not only Instagram, but also Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn all have their version of vertical videos in short form videos.
Yeah, and that is the one time where I will tell people I'm usually a very huge proponent of you create content for each specific platform, but if you have to, push your stories. I mean, push them from Instagram to Facebook, reuse them, maybe reuse them on a different day of the week or a different time. But that's what is going to get, the most traction right now. So if somebody's doing it on their own, absolutely, to the other platforms.
And Wes is commenting on how he never thought of social media as a cold calling of the internet.
Yeah, it's interesting because I hate the term funnel. It drives me crazy because the internet is more like a tornado. It's constantly moving, it's constantly changing, you're constantly pulling in different areas. And as a small business, you really want to be the eye of that tornado, right? So you want people constantly coming in, you're pulling them in, pull them down, sell what you need to sell to them, but you want to keep them in that tornado. You don't ever want them to go outside your funnel, because you want to make sure that they're giving reviews, referrals, or they're going to buy from you again. You constantly want to keep them in your space. And so, the concept of funnel has always been, they come in, they go down, they buy, and they're gone. Well, you don't
Right.
have time to, again, if we are cold calling the internet, the last thing you want is for them to have to go back out into the ethos. You want to make sure you keep them close. And that is where, email newsletters come into play. That's where you are always online, whether it's you've got them on Facebook or Instagram, or you're going live on, doing Pinterest stories or TikToks, whatever it is, you are in their face and constantly around. So that way they can see, I don't have a need for this now, but you pop up, and then, oh yeah, but you know what? I know somebody who could, or I know somebody who will. And then, it's sometimes it's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right there.
Yeah, a lot of times, and there are some companies, and actually one company hired us to do videos for them, where is like 99% of their effort is in getting new business, and 1% was in retaining that business.
Oh
And
goodness.
it's like once so if you try to reach that salesperson again, it's like he's on to his next sale. He's not there to support you. And so that's talking about funnels as opposed to the hurricane or the tornado. Is one, you spit them out at the bottom, and hopefully they survive and come back.
Yeah, and our mission, our purpose at VentureWrite is really to raise voices of small businesses above the noise, but also you're raising those voices to create raving fans. I mean, I think if nothing else, Apple is probably the best example of how you just have an insanely loyal base. And, so how do you create that same type of raving fan for your own business? And a lot of it is, building those relationships, making sure that you're talking to your people, being authentic, and really understanding what it is that they want and need. I know that my current customers, my current clients, and those that, could potentially become clients in the future, they crave information. They want to be educated. They want to know what it is that's going on. And that's one of those things that we, do our best and is our goal to improve on, to make sure that we're constantly delivering that.
So when you're on or choosing a platform, this is a great page. Focusing on a platform, you don't have to be on all of them. Bruce Lee says a successful warrior is an average man with laser-like focus. So a lot of people, and again, although that actually follows up to the next one, which almost is the same, is be where your customers are.
Yep.
So a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, is I have a profile on at least 10 different social media platforms, but I'm not active or highly active. Like I've got a Pinterest account, but I can't remember the last time I was actually posting anything to Pinterest.
Yeah, and I think all of us are definitely, we're guilty of that, because you want to be where your customers are. And so I have a blog on VentureWrite.com. It's called The Power of Five. You can actually go and search the blogs and it'll pop up. So if you don't know really where your niche is or who your ideal customer or client is, that's what you have to figure out first. Like, who is this person? And you want to know everything about them. They've got 2 dogs, a kid, maybe they drive a Land Rover, whatever it is, you want to be able to get into their head. And so once you've figured out who that person is, that's going to let you know, is this the person who's on Pinterest? Is this the person who's on Instagram? Is this the person who's on Facebook? Certain demographics are going to be in there, and that's going to tell you where you need to be. And I think not the last blog, but the blog before, I have a bunch of updated demographics that you can see that'll really show you where they're at. And then that allows you to say, okay, this is where I'm going to focus. And one of the things that I tell people is I would always say, be on Facebook or the ad machine. I still think you need to be there. I don't think it's yes, it's changing. Yes, we have to figure out a different way to measure it, but it's not something that I would say just kick to the curb just yet. I don't think you have to be necessarily on Facebook and Instagram, But I think you need to figure out where else you need to be. So is it LinkedIn, depending on your business? Is it Twitter? Is it, Pinterest? And really focus on two to start with.
Yep.
And then once you've passed those two and you feel like you've mastered them, then you can move next. And, get a social, like a scheduling platform that works for you. We use Social Labyrinth, but we also use Later for some Instagram stuff. And I know there are a lot of people that use the Creator Suite on Facebook. So it just kind of depends. But once you find a tool that really works for you, that's key as well to making sure that you can stay active on all the platforms you want to be on without, skipping a beat.
And also stay within your brand and post within your brand if you're posting as a business.
Yes. Make sure like one of the things that, so my Twitter account has honestly gone pretty cold since Periscope, because a lot, it went more personal than business. Whereas, Instagram, Facebook, are very business focused, and our Pinterest one is actually building and growing in that direction as well. LinkedIn is obviously business focused as well. But yeah, you can either do an about face and just open a new Twitter account, open a new one to be, more business, but that's key. Like, it used to be 80%, personal, 20% business, especially when I was doing Beachbody. I still think it's important to make sure that people know you and they understand you if you are the face of the business.
Yep.
So they should have some of that information. But at the same point, you want to remember who your client is and what are they there for? Are they there to see you, just chilling on vacation with your kids? Or are they there to see you, hey, this is the newest Pinterest book that I just picked up because I'm trying to learn more about Pinterest? That's probably going to be more important to them than seeing you on the beach.
So I pulled up this page. This is your blog, which is part of
Yep.
VentureWrite.com. And is this a good place to contact you for more information?
Yes, absolutely. You can contact us. There's a contact us page. So you can fill out the form there and we will absolutely get back to you and help you with anything that you might possibly need. Even if it's just a quick question that you're trying to figure out. And you can always send us a message on Instagram or Facebook. Definitely.
Excellent. So before we go, I think there was one other thing that we were going to talk about was live video. I know you're working with your husband doing an exciting program, which I think I was watching one of the latest episodes where it actually comes in saying, and here's another exciting episode. And it's nice laid back personality.
Dan is a riot. Yeah, he definitely has some a tone. I want to say really a 1950s announcer. So it's hysterical. But yeah, live video, and we'll be starting to go live. Again, I want to say that if not next week, we'll be going live again every Thursday morning, probably around 11:30. So we'll hit after your show. So that maybe people can double accurate. But that's something that we'll start doing. Yeah, these guys go live about
alpha acid hops were kind of high alpha acid hops were really originally developed just to add bitterness to beer, but not so much green matter, hop matters. So those high alpha.
So if you're into brewing, this is a fantastic show. A lot of good information. And again, it's branded, but they're not actually, are they selling equipment and selling anything during the show, or are they just offering information?
For the most part, they're just offering information. If at any time, that's what brewing supply is. It's a hardware shop for basically people that want to make their own beer, wine, soda, cheese, whichever. So they sell equipment to you, but during the shows, it's really 100% about just educating. What do you guys want to know about beer? Maybe I'm sure they'll probably be doing one about wine and cheese in the future. Ryan, who was actually the guy who was talking, it's very bittersweet. Ryan is going to be moving on to be a lead brewer at Roaring Table, fabulous little brewery in Lake Zurich. So that's someplace that, for sure you could check out. but that gives really an education focus. And I think that's what's really key about a lot of live streams. I think it's much more effective if you are giving something such as education. That's something that you have and you should share freely. The more educated everyone is, the more we'll all thrive when it comes to not knowing different things and learning how to do it. But yeah, so that's been pretty successful. We've done it a couple months in a row, and I know he's going to continue to do it on different aspects.
I think it also relates back to, we're talking about how it's support. So let's say someone came in and bought some equipment. What do I do with it? Here's some ideas, and here's some practices, and here's something you really don't want to do with this. Like don't plug up all the holes and heat it up, because you're going to get an explosion or something like that.
Right. Like, what do I do with these things called hops? And I know I have this information and I know I have this recipe, but how is it that it's really effective? And yeah, the guys are amazing at, really breaking it down and helping everyone from the novice brewer to someone who's really experienced learn something new. Yeah.
Excellent. So again, the book is The Business of Social Media, Clients and Customers, Not Just Likes and Followers. And even though it is only, a couple years old, it's still relevant.
Yeah, what's great about how I wrote that book is that some things have definitely changed as far as the platforms and whatnot, but the strategies in the book are still very sound. It's all about creating that quality content, understanding. It's practical advice as far as like checklists and those types of things. And we'll be adding a lot of digital content to the website in the near future as we get ready for the release of the second book, where we'll have content calendars that you can either purchase, and then links to other content calendars, and then the checklist for social media agencies to help out with their clients, and checklist for just a small business trying to figure out, now what do I have to do every day, what do I have to do every week and month, and how do I know if it's working? So those are important.
Excellent. Well, thank you. You've been a wonderful guest. I know we can go on for another hour or two, but we're a little bit beyond our 30 minutes. But this is great information. And again, for more information from Angela, go to VentureWrite.com and learn more and ask questions.
Thank you so much, Bruce. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.